Seeing her hesitation, Gona leaned forward, taking her hands in his. Baby, I know it's a lot of money, but think about it. Once the business is up and running, I won't have to keep asking you for money. I will finally be able to take care of you like I should, like the queen that you are. Isn't that what we both want? Nzoputa swallowed hard. Are you sure about this? You promised me that this is for us. Gona cupped her face, his voice laced with emotion. Nzoputa, have I ever given you a reason to doubt me? Trust me, in a few months, I will pay back every kobo and will be set for life. Just this one last time, please. Nzoputa closed her eyes for a moment before nodding slowly.
Okay, I trust you.
The next day, she transferred the money. By the time she reached her compound, her breath came in shallow gasps. She stepped out of the car, storming upstairs into Gona's room. She needed answers. Gona couldn't be getting married, not after all their plans together. She planned the future with him. She trusted him with everything, her love, her heart, her home. And now, he was marrying someone else. She held the doorknob, but as she predicted, the room was locked. Ugonna had always been a little too private about that room, almost always refusing that Nzoputa would come in. Even though Nzoputa had found that a little odd, he had allowed him to have his privacy so they could live in peace. But at that point, her heart filled with clouding emotions. Nzoputa broke the door, and to her amazement, the room was totally empty with no trace of Ugonna. His mattress, TV, bags, and all his clothing, everything was gone. Nzoputa noticed a note on the bare floor. She recognized it was Ugonna's handwriting. As she held it, her hands trembled as she read it. Nzoputa, please, don't come looking for me. I'm sorry. The paper slipped from her fingers. Nzoputa fell to her knees. A strangled scream tore from her throat. The pain was unbearable. It didn't just crush her, it shattered her, piece by piece. The weight of the betrayal, the humiliation, it was just too much. Nzoputa did not cry that night. She sat on the cold tile floor of the apartment, staring blankly at the phone that had long stopped buzzing. Her hands trembled, her mind racing through every moment she had spent with Ugonna. Every word, every promise, the warmth of his touch, the sincerity in his voice when he said he loved her. Had it all been a lie? Her fingers curled into fists as she exhaled shakily. A part of her refused to believe it. Maybe there was a mistake, maybe there was an explanation. But the wedding invitation, the silence, the notes, a handwritten note, it was all real. The man she had loved, the man she had built her future around, had abandoned her without looking back. Days passed in a blur. Nzoputa went through the motions of life without truly living. She woke up, bathed, went to work and returned home, but everything was mechanical, as though she was simply existing in a body that no longer belonged to her. The world around her continued as if nothing had happened, yet she was frozen in time, trapped in the agony of betrayal. She did not speak of it. She did not tell anyone. The shame was too great. How could she even explain that the man she had given everything to had disappeared without warning? There had always been rumors that they were dating, and her recent outburst upon hearing about his wedding had confirmed it. Nzoputa refused to look at them, but she could not escape it. One morning, as she entered the office, she overheard a group of co-workers gossiping at the reception. She had no intention of listening until she heard his name. "I heard his wife is pregnant already," one of them said, laughing. Nzoputa's stomach twisted violently. "He really upgraded, Sha," another one added. "Amaka's family is well connected. He made a smart move." Something inside Nzoputa snapped. She turned on her heels and walked straight out of the office. She didn't care that she had just arrived. She didn't care that her boss might call her back. The walls of the office felt too tight, too suffocating, and she needed air. She needed to breathe. Nzoputa did not return to work the next day or the day after that. She ignored the calls from her boss, the worried texts from her colleagues. The outside world no longer existed. The once vibrant, ambitious woman who had worked tirelessly for her future now lay in bed, staring at the ceiling for hours on end. The days blurred together. She stopped eating, her body growing weaker with each passing hour. Her once full cheeks hollowed out, her clothes hung loosely on her frame. She rarely bathed, barely acknowledged her reflection in the mirror. When she did, she saw a stranger staring back at her, a woman with lifeless eyes, disheveled hair, and the remnants of a once bright soul. The whisper started in her head at first, soft, like distant echoes, but then it grew louder and more persistent. You were nothing to him. Nothing. He never loved you. You gave him everything and he threw it away. The thoughts consumed her. She would pace around her small apartment, speaking to herself, repeating the words over and over as if trying to convince herself of their truth. One evening, she sat in her dark living room, clutching an empty whiskey bottle, rocking slightly. A low, humorless chuckle escaped her lips. He took everything and I let him. Adora, one of her long-time close friends, came by, knocking furiously at her door. Nzoputa, please, open up! But Nzoputa only laughed to herself, shaking her head. They don't understand, she muttered. No one understands. Days turned into weeks and the outside world forgot about Nzoputa. Then came the moment that changed everything. It was a Sunday morning. Nzoputa, barefoot, her hair tangled, her dress stained, wandered into the church she had once attended so faithfully. The congregation gasped when they saw her. Some whispered in hushed voices, while others averted their gaze, too ashamed to stare at what she had become. She walked straight to the front of the church, past the murmuring crowd, past the pastor who hesitated in the middle of his sermon. Nzoputa turned to face the congregation, her lips trembling, her voice hoarse from days of silence. Love can kill you! A collective hush fell over the church. I gave him everything. I loved him beyond reason, beyond myself. And where did he lead me? Her voice cracked. Her eyes wild. Women, hear me. Love can kill you. A woman in the front row covered her mouth in shock. A man near the back whispered, what happened to her? The pastor stepped forward cautiously. Sister Nzoputa, he left me, she screamed, tears spilling down her gaunt cheeks. He took everything, my money, my dreams, my love, and he left me with nothing. Gas filled the air. The ushers moved to lead her away, but she wrenched herself free. You all sit here pretending, waiting for love to save you. But what if it destroys you? What if it leaves you with nothing? Adora, who had rushed in upon hearing the commotion, pushed through the crowd, grabbing Nzoputa's trembling hands. Nzoputa, please, let's go home. Nzoputa looked at her with glassy eyes, then turned to the congregation one last time. Be careful who you love. Be careful before you end up like me. She let Adora guide her away, the whispers following her like shadows. After that, Nzoputa was never the same. She stopped returning home. She had been seen wandering the streets, barefoot, speaking to the air, laughing at things only she could see. Some people pitied her. Some crossed the street when they saw her coming. That's the woman who went mad for love. Ugonna, however, never looked back. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months until one night. It was raining heavily. Nzoputa stood in the rain. She had been standing there for a long time, just like she always did. Not far from Ugonna's house, the house where he lived with his wife Amaka. She was bare feet as usual, with no umbrella or no warm clothes. She didn't even feel the cold. Her hair was messy, wet, sticking to her face. Her clothes were soaked, clinging to her thin body, but she didn't care. She stood there, watching, waiting. Maybe this time Gona will come out and see her. Maybe this time he would explain why he left her. Maybe this time. But no, he never came. And the rain kept falling. Inside the house, Gona sat on the couch, scrolling through his phone. He could hear the rain, but he didn't pay attention. His wife Amaka had already gone to bed. The house was warm and quiet, safe from the storm outside. He knew Nzoputa was there. Nzoputa had always walked around their area most nights, standing sometimes looking into their house. His wife Amaka had even asked him on one occasion why the mad woman stared at their house like that, but he had no answer. That night was no different, except that the rain was heavy. Yet Nzoputa stood. Until there was a loud crash, a sound that made Ugonna freeze. It was too close. Something inside him, something deep inside told him to look outside. And when he did, his breath caught in his throat. There on the road was a body, a woman, lying still in the rain. A car had hit her. The driver was running out, shouting, I didn't see her! I didn't see her! She just walked into the road. People gathered, whispering, it's that woman that likes to sit here, or that mad woman, someone said. Ugonna felt like he couldn't breathe. Even before he saw her face, he knew it was Nzoputa. She was gone. The rain poured harder, washing over her lifeless body. And just like that, the woman who had given him everything was no more. The office buzzed with murmurs the next morning, conversations whispered in hushed tones, glasses exchanged with a mixture of pity and curiosity. Nzoputa's name drifted through the air like an old ghost. Did you hear? The lady who used to work here. Ugonna froze in his seat, his grip tightening on his bed. He did not turn around, did not react, but his body stiffened at the sound of her name. I heard she collapsed in the rain. Another voice chimed in. Some say she lost her mind from a heartbreak before she died. Ugonna's throat dried. His pulse thundered in his ears. He stared blankly at his computer screen, unable to move, unable to breathe. You know, another colleague mused, lowering his voice. Nzoputa's family had a dark history. Her parents died mysteriously, and some people say her uncle was involved. That man was wicked. I heard they warned her never to return to her village. Maybe she didn't listen. Maybe her village people finally got to her. Gona swallowed, forcing a chuckle that barely reached his throat. Maybe, he muttered, his voice hollow. Maybe it wasn't just heartbreak. Some things they are beyond us. The conversation faded, but his own thoughts screamed at him. That night, he could not sleep. No matter how tightly he shut his eyes, the visions found him. Nzoputa standing in the rain, staring at him. Nzoputa whispering his name, her voice an echo in the wind. Nzoputa asking, why did you kill me? He jolted awake, his body filled with sweat. His breathing came in gasps. He turned, glancing at Amaka who slept peacefully beside him. He envied how easy it was for her to rest while his own demons clawed at his soul. Days passed, but the nightmares only worsened. One evening, as he drove home from work, he saw a woman walking barefoot on the street, her lips moving as she spoke to herself. For a fleeting moment, his heart seized. It was not Nzoputa. Nzoputa was gone, but the sight of the woman, lost in madness, sent a chill down his spine. He gripped the steering wheel tightly, his chest tightening. For the first time since he walked away from Nzoputa, he felt it, deep regret, and it was heavier than he could bear. One evening, as he sat in his car outside his office, he found himself scrolling through the messages, Nzoputa's messages, the ones where he spoke of love, of their future, of trust, and then the last transaction, the money she had given him, the money she had believed would build their future. A choke sob escaped him. He gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles white. I killed her, he whispered. I might as well have killed her. The walls of his carefully built life began to crack. He withdrew from his wife, from work, from everything. His world had become a prison. Then one fateful night, the weight became too much. Gona drove to the one place he had avoided since her death, Nzoputa's grave. It was a simple burial site, far from the city's chaos. He knelt beside it, his shoulders shaking as he placed a trembling hand on the cold earth. I'm sorry, he whispered, tears spilling down his face. I was greedy. I was selfish. The wind howled through the trees as if universe itself responded to his confession. He buried his face in his hands. his body raked with sobs. I thought I could forget you. I thought I could move on, Nzoputa, but you won't leave me. I see you everywhere. I hear you. I feel you. There was silence. And then just as he turned to leave, a voice, soft, almost carried by the wind. Why did you kill me? Ugonna's breath caught in his throat. His eyes widened in shock, but there was no one there. Ugonna was never the same after that night. Few days later, Amaka confronted him. Her patience, one thing. Gona, you're not yourself anymore. You barely touch your food. You don't sleep. Talk to me. What is going on? Ugonna stared at her, his eyes empty. He opened his mouth, but no words came. What could he say? That the ghost of a woman he destroyed wouldn't let him rest? That he could feel Nzoputa's presence every time suffocating him? Amaka shook her head. I can't do this anymore. Whatever is haunting you, I hope you find peace. Gona laughed bitterly at the irony of her words. He knew there would be no more peace, at least not for him. Not now, not ever. The end. What a tragic and emotional story. The moral lessons from this story are: love is not enough. Always ensure that love is mutual, healthy, and built on trust, not one-sided sacrifices that lead to heartbreak. Secondly, watch out for the red flags. When someone constantly takes without giving, when they make promises but never fulfill them, please pay attention. Love should not blind you to reality. Another lesson is that please love yourself first. Never lose yourself in a relationship. Love should complement your life, not consume it. Finally, karma is real. Ugonna walked away thinking he had won, but karma never forgets an unpaid debt. He took all he could from Nzoputa, left her with nothing, believing time would erase his sins. But life has a way of bringing justice, whether seen or unseen. No betrayal goes unanswered. You cannot escape the consequences of your actions. Hurting someone who truly loved you might not come back in the way you expect, but life always has a way of balancing the scales. Now, I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you think of this story? Have you ever seen a situation like this in real life? Because this story was actually inspired by a real life situation. Do you believe that what goes around comes around? Please share your thoughts in the comment section so we create more awareness so people don't fall victims. And if this story touched you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep, emotionally engaging stories and informative ones like this. Thank you so much for watching. In spite of my voice, I lost my voice, but I didn't want to keep my besties waiting for so long to hear the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed the story. See you in the next one. Bye.